All right. Let's talk about what I read in June. Hey everyone, Fina here from Fina Reads. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about all the books that I read in the month of June. Disclaimer, technically it's still June and there's one book that I'm still in the middle of, but I know I will finish it since it's a nice weekend till the end of June. First we have to talk about stats. And those have been fantastic, I tell you. So in the month of June, I read a total of 10 books, woohoo, with a total of 3,850 pages, which is the most pages read this year so far in a given month. Wah! And out of those 10 books, I read 6 fantasy, 1 sci-fi, 2 thrillers, and then 1 horror thriller. That's the one book that I'm still technically reading. 3 3-star reads, 4 4-star reads, 2 5-star reads. The one that I'm currently reading currently sits at a very solid 4 stars. And then I finished 3 series. Well, I mean, technically I finished 2 and I caught up on 1, but how amazing is this? And then I read 7 books in its physical form, 1 audio, and 2 Kindle Unlimited books. All right, let's start with fantasy. And we're starting off with the first series finisher, which is A Cask-Aged Blade by Benjamin Averin. That is book 3 in the Rainfall, I still don't know, trilogy series. I have no idea. Amazing, indie published, Arthurian inspired, post-apocalyptic fantasy still, even though it's technically set in the future. It has a lot of fantasy elements in it, so post-apocalyptic fantasy is a thing, right? So that's what this is. I'm actually not going to go into super much detail for this one because I did a review for the entire series if you want to check it out. These are top contenders for my favorite series, maybe even my favorite book for the year. Oh, the next one is a bit tricky. And that is the entire Between Earth and Sky trilogy that I read in the month of June because Mirrored Havens, book 3, came out in June. This is difficult, y'all. Book 1 was a big favorite. When I read it the first time, I fell in love. This is such a unique world, and it has so many amazing elements that I love in fantasy, from meddling gods to unique elements of the characters, a unique magic system, and just an incredibly fascinating plot that I thought, this can't go wrong, right? The whole series has to be amazing. And it was an anticipated release for sure, book 3, and I was so excited about reading this. I was raving about this since I read book 1. And then it really let me down. I did not like book 3. So here's a question for you. I originally was planning, before I read book 3, I was planning on doing a review for the entire series and gush about all this amazing stuff and whatnot. Let me know if you still want me to do that. It's not going to be a gush review because book 3 was such a letdown. But if you're interested in hearing like deeper dive thoughts and more about what the book is about and what the series is about and all those things, let me know down in the comments and I will still film that for you. So just to give you a quick summary, the Between Earth and Sky trilogy plays in a pre-Columbian inspired world where we're moving towards the event of an eclipse that all happens in book 1. And you follow multiple characters on their way to that event. And it's a very big event for all of these individual characters. And you meet a kind of insecure priest that wants to prove herself in the role that she has been thrown into and that she was actually not quite ready for. You have a very feisty sailor. She is cursing and she's feisty and she's amazing. And then you have a character where you're not quite sure, where are you? Who are you? What is your purpose right here? Are you a villain? Are you a hero? It's very interesting, and that's why I loved book 1 so much. The best first chapter in Black Sun that I've ever read. Like, this opening chapter is cuss. Like, there's no other word for that. It's just a punch in your gut, and it's so crazy that you just sit there and it's like, what is happening? And then you just read the first book through till the end, till you figure out, okay, why this had to happen that you read in the first paragraph. Book 2 felt like the typical book 2 middle book syndrome. It was a little bit more world building, a little bit more history to what was happening in book 1, a little bit more history to the characters. I actually really enjoyed that, which I know is not the popular opinion. A lot of people did not like book 2. I actually enjoyed the character development in particular in this one. Some of the more whiny characters from book 1 that really annoyed me developed into a direction in book 2 that made a whole lot more sense to where the plot I thought was going. Book 3 comes around. I don't know what happened. First of all, it's not visible when you just look at it, but it's double the size of Fevered Star. So it's a lot of bloat in there, and the pacing is completely off. You just wade through a swamp of nothingness for then to quickly happen something on 2 pages, and then just for you to end up in that same swamp again. A lot of characters did a complete 180, and I was just sitting there and it's like, what happened? What happened to all the good stuff from book 1 and book 2? A lot of the things that she set up in book 1 and book 2 were irrelevant in book 3 all of a sudden, and then the ending was just done in 2 pages. And I'm like, why? I don't know. I mean, there were some good qualities in there. There was one character that I was still rooting for, and that where the character development added a lot more depth to it, which I enjoyed. But generally speaking, it was a very weak book 3. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe my anticipation was too big. I have no idea. I still think this series brings something unique to the fantasy realm. I actually think this would be much better in movie form, because a lot of the scenes were very impactful and I could see them on a big screen being even more impactful. And book 3 gave me World of Warcraft vibes. I don't know where this was coming from all of a sudden, but the description of the main city, even though we saw it in book 1 and 2 already, in book 3 in particular gave me complete World of Warcraft vibes. And then there was one event that was like, this also reminds me of an event when they came out with the second expansion of World of Warcraft. There was a big event that led to that second expansion, and there's a very similar event happening in book 3. Anyway, so that was my Between Earth and Sky reading experience in the month of June. I'm glad I binged it all the way through. I'm glad I didn't have to wait anymore. I'm glad I'm done now with the series. It leaves a meh feeling. That's the only problem with it. One of the quick reads in between in June was The Four Profound Weaves by R.B. Lamberg. That comes from my last book haul. You can check out the book haul video if you want to. And I also did a quick review on this book already because that was actually a real surprise. It falls more into the literary category of fantasy, but has fascinating magical elements in there, with the Weaves being a major part of it. It seems like a quick read, but because of its literary quality, it took a little bit longer, and it's not a book that you read in a day and you're good with it. But I really enjoyed it. This was a surprising, fascinating, different from what I usually read, and I'm okay with that. I love it. And the last fantasy book is more a nostalgic reread. That was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which I listened to on audio because Audible just came out with the UK versions of the audiobook narrated by Stephen Fry. They made them available in the US market now. I've listened to book 1 in May, book 2 now in June. I will probably not continue in July though. I'm a little bit Harry Pottered out right this second, especially since we also watched the movies at the same time. So that was a bit too much. Moving more into the sci-fi category, or is Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury, do you call this more sci-fi or more classic? Well, it's classic sci-fi, that definitely, no question. But this is a short story collection by Ray Bradbury, which we read as part of the Ray Bradbury book club over at the Bookastronomers Discord. And it's 18 short stories that are fantastic. I love them. This is a 4-star short story collection for me. I don't think I had many that I didn't like. There were maybe 1 or 2 that I just didn't vibe with, but all the others were fantastic. So this was written in the 50s, and Ray Bradbury is known for social commentary as part of his sci-fi. So most of the short story collections are some sort of social commentary to something that happened. Some things are even still very relevant today, which is quite fascinating. I'm super glad Jake made us read this. Jumping into horror, that's Delicate Condition by Danielle Valentine. It says psychological thriller, but it has some horror elements in there. It's creepy AF. That's how much I can tell you. So I'm about halfway through. I have 2 more days in June. I will get it done because it is a really easy and straightforward read. This book is about Anne, who is desperately trying to get pregnant. She is in her late 30s, which already makes it tricky. She already went through a bunch of programs to try to get pregnant, and right now she is trying IVF in a new clinic, which she can afford thanks to her newly, so she's an indie actress, but the latest movie completely blew up, and because of that she can now afford a bit more expensive clinic, and they are successful with their IVF. She gets an embryo implanted, but then all of a sudden she has cramps and it feels like she is losing it. They don't hear a heartbeat anymore. She is devastated. Just for, like, 2 days later, in one of those moments where she's really devastated, to feel a kick in her belly. And she's like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden the heartbeat is back there and there's a baby there. But she gets creepy messages and really weird things are happening. And it's awesome. I love that kind of stuff. It's all from her perspective, and you're accompanied by kind of not quite believing what she is saying husband. They then hire a bodyguard at one point because of some of the things that are happening. He is completely on her side. Her assistant that is helping her with the promotion of the movie kind of reacts weirdly, but does she really? She has a couple of friends that also say and do sometimes things where you're like, wait, what is going on here? It is awesome. Like this, I'm so glad I picked this up. I'm really enjoying this one. It started off a bit slow, and after 100 pages, I was at a point where I was like, oh, should I DNF it? I'm not really vibing with it quite yet, but I'm so glad I pushed through, because now by like 200 and a little more pages, I'm hooked. And after I'm done filming this video, I will be on my couch and finish this because I want to know what's happening. Plus, I need to read it while it's light out and not dark because I'm a wimp. But boy, this is good. I really hope it sticks the ending. I will let you know. Editing Josephine here real quick. I finished Delicate Condition, and this is a 5-star read. That ending, people, completely mind blown. I did not see that ending coming. There were parts that I saw coming, but the actual ending was really cool, and the creep factor was out the window. I really loved this one. Moving into the thriller category proper with What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall, which was the June Thrill, Kill, or Chill book club over on the Bookastrommers Discord. I'm spending way too much time over there, I'm telling you. That was an okay one. There were aspects of it that I really enjoyed, aspects of it that I didn't quite enjoy. It ended up being one of my 3-star reads. But this is about a main character who has a really terrible past. As a younger kid, as a teenager, she ended up in a situation where she nearly got murdered by someone in the woods and then barely got dragged out. She left with scars and whatnot, and just, a lot of trauma because of that. She is now grown up. She's a photographer, a wedding photographer. She has to go back to her hometown for some reason. There she is meeting up with the 2 friends that were with her when all of this happened. The story continues as you unravel basically what actually happened back then in the woods. The title is awesome and fits perfectly with the vibe. That's what I enjoyed about the book, is the vibe of the woods and kind of the unknown and where are we going from here. And then there's a podcaster part of it and some old friends are popping up. And that setting was great. But then there were just some elements in there that I did not enjoy. I didn't think the ending was wrapped up well. It was too meandering in some areas and then too short in others. For me, the ending just didn't quite get it. But solid 3-star read. It was a lot of fun. And one more book that I read in the month of June is Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice. That is book 4 in the Finlay Donovan series by Elko Simano, which means I'm caught up with this series. This is the last currently released book in this series, which actually also, it feels like it's closing out an arc. There is something that happens at the very, very end, like one sentence that they are saying basically, where like, oh, okay, this is prepping for book 5, and we know there will be a couple more books coming in this series, but the arc of the story that happened in book 1, 2, 3, and 4 feels like it really is ended and there's nothing much more that could come out of it. This is just fun. If you look up popcorn book in the dictionary, this book will be right next to it. It is so much fun, and book 4 has to be my favorite in the series, I think. And to answer the question that I had during my May wrap-up, yes, you have to read the novella between book 3 and 4, so you get some of the things that are happening with Vero in here. I don't think you would fully get it if you wouldn't have read the novella. Book 4, you think it can't get any more ridiculous than it already was in the first 3 books, but trust me, it can. It did in book 4. There were moments where it's like, how is she going to resolve this? How is she going to get Finn and Vero out of this complete mess that she threw them in? And then somehow you give her a couple of pages and she did it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, she figured it out. She's good. And it's like, it blows my mind every single time. Book 4 really takes the cake in that regard. I like the book till the last 50 or so pages. After that, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This is my favorite Finlay Donovan book ever. Ever! So if you were thinking about picking up the series, now is actually a good time because, as I said, book 4 kind of closes the story out. Well, that's what I read in the month of June. Again, don't forget to let me know in the comments if I should do a dedicated review on the Between Earth and Sky trilogy. I will do it if you ask me to. I have no problem with that, but don't expect it to be a gush review. And then if you like this video, don't forget to like, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And then I hope I'll see you soon with my next video. Till then, have a great rest of your day.